Welcoming in to the PHNX Suns Podcast now is Kelcey Wright Johnson, host and reporter for the Memphis Grizzlies. Kelcey, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. How you doing?
I'm so excited to be here with you guys. You guys are two of my favorite people, and now it's going to be three. I can just tell.
Yes, there you go.
I love it.
We're
Thanks,
winning at
Kelcey.
life already.
Love it.
All right, Kels, not to start on a bad note here or anything, but of course, the elephant in the room, Ja Morant being suspended for 25 games to start the NBA season. Not the greatest situation for the Grizzlies, but how is the team kind of handling that suspension and just overall what the expectations are for this upcoming season despite that?
I think there were a lot of question marks, Lindsay, heading into like at least a media day about how much of an involvement Ja was going to have. And you obviously never want, like, in terms of how it was worded at the very beginning by Woj and the NBA, I guess, it was like, hey, he won't be allowed at any team things. He won't be at training. He won't be at this. And then we got word on media day that he would be able to travel with the team. He was practicing with the team. He was at media day. He's now in training camp. And so it, one, alleviates the fact of like, we have all these new guys in and like, how is he going to be able to bond with these guys? Like come game 26, is he going to be in shape? Is he going to be in basketball shape come game 26? And I think that alleviates all of that. And then in terms of actually the team playing without him for 25 games, obviously, again, we have experience in that last year. I think he missed 20-something, 22 games last year. And of course, we had Tyus Jones, who in my opinion, and I think a lot of people's opinion, he was the best backup point guard in the league. And so we didn't have a crazy dip. It was just a different style. This year, I think it's going to be a little bit more by committee because, of course, Tyus is in Washington. I think Marcus Smart is going to play a big role in that. And I think it's just going to fall a lot more on guys like Des and like Jaren. And I think they've had a lot of time to kind of process Ja was a leader on the floor, and they've had a lot of time to process like how that leadership looks differently the first 25 games. But again, I think having him travel and having him practice is huge because then although he's a leader and he's not able to play, he still has that voice. And I think Derrick Rose also said it best. He said at training camp, he said to Ja, I'm not here to babysit. I'm not here to, be the ops and like follow you around, but I am here to say that I've been in this situation. Like Derrick Rose has been through a lot, although he, youngest MVP, all this stuff before his injury. He also has had issues off the court that he now knows how to deal with. And I think he's going to be a really, really good mentor for Ja. And I think it's someone that Ja respects and looks up to. And so I think the first 25 games is going to be a big growing experience for Ja off the floor as well.
We talk about just the maturity of players and it can kind of come in spurts, and with Ja's development, adding Marcus Smart to the mix, and then you talk about, the other veterans that they have, including Derrick Rose. The one aspect of this that I think people are overlooking is that relationship maybe with Jaren Jackson and Jaren Jackson's own development throughout the last 5 years. What do you see in Jaren Jackson's role in this team, and how have you seen him evolve from year one to now going into year 6?
It's so funny to think about it because Ja is actually older than Jaren, but Jaren is a year ahead of him in the NBA. I think Marcus Smart is going to be huge for Jaren because although Jaren is Defensive Player of the Year this year, Marcus Smart was in that position as well, and they play such different defenses. Like Jaren is very much like, I'm going to block everything at the rim, and Marcus is very much like, I'm going to defend everything all over the court. And so I think they've come together, and it's been really cool to watch them at training camp. In terms of Jaren growing, it's again crazy because he came into the league at like an 18-year-old, like he was a child, and now we've seen him. He's grown into this man. He was an all-star this year. He was the Defensive Player of the Year. Not only that, but he has grown from like he was the youngest guy. And so he was looking up to the Marc Gasols and the Mike Conleys. And now I've seen him change into like, now he's mentoring Gigi Jackson, and you see him pull guys aside. And so, yeah, he's going into his 6th year. What do they say? You turn into a vet in your 5th year. I don't even know if he was like really considered a vet last year because he had Dylan on the team, but he might be one of the youngest vets, but like he is a veteran and he's putting that on his shoulders. I think him and Des are going to be two of the more vocal leaders that we see this year.
It's wild to think that a 24-year-old is like the seasoned vet on the squad. I know,
right?
That blows my mind. Holy
At
crap.
least like a tenured Grizzly, right? Like obviously they have Marcus now and they have Derrick who are going to be like the vets, but now he's, if not the most, he's one of the most tenured Grizzlies now that Dylan's gone.
That's wild.
Yeah. You talked about Tyus a little bit, and Tyus is one of my favorite players in the NBA. I do agree with you. He was the best backup point guard in basketball, had one of the best assist to turnover ratios in basketball, and I'm happy that he got the opportunity. But now without Tyus, you incorporate Marcus Smart and Derrick Rose. Now you kind of talked about it already. The mystery guy for me is Desmond Bane. Talk to me about Desmond Bane. He had the big extension. I'm fascinated with Desmond. I've always loved his game. I've loved his game since TCU. I thought he should have went way higher in that draft, and you guys got a huge steal. But talk to me about Desmond now with Ja not out. Ja suspended for 25 games. Is he primed to take that leadership role and kind of be that guy on this team right now with Marcus and Derrick Rose in the mix?
I kind of love that he's still a mystery to a lot of people, because I think for Grizzlies, he is 100% like the next guy. And now obviously Ja is the franchise player, and Jaren, with the accolades that he has, is a franchise guy as well. But I think Dez is going to surprise a lot of people, because I think he played maybe 6 games last year completely healthy. So he had the toe injury, and then it was like kind of a repeat injury that he finally got to nurse and have the surgery this offseason. So he's feeling better. And still, take Steph out of it, Dez is like one of the most prolific shooters in the NBA, and he's obviously only getting better. And to agree with you, I think Dez doesn't feel like he should have been drafted 30th either. And he brings that up a lot whenever we play the teams that like passed on him.
Right.
So it's still funny. We're going into like year 3 or 4. But no, Dez is probably at this very moment the most vocal leader on the team. I think a lot of guys look up to him because his hard work is just, he's very much like I'm never going to say you guys need to do something that I'm not doing myself. And I think one of the stories with that and just how hard he works is there was a story going around about a player on the Grizzlies getting the same flooring that they have in the locker room or in the weight room into his very own home. And it turned out to be Dez, because he was so committed to like having the same type of workout, the same type of everything. And so I think that's just like a little tidbit to go like how hard he works. And so guys have started to look up to him just because of that. And I'm not comparing him to Kobe, but very much so how Kobe would work so hard that guys would have to respect him. He has that same kind of respect when it comes to his teammates. And now as he's getting older and older, he's getting more vocal and more confident. And I think it's going to be, especially without Ja there for the first 25, I think Dez is going to be probably the most vocal leader that we see. And I mean, we're just hoping that those 6 games that he was healthy last year, I think he was averaging like, I don't know, I'd have to go back and look, but it was something ridiculous, like in the 30s points. And so I think we're hoping for an all-star Dez this year. Also, I'm just going to point this out, he has a little nickname. I don't like it in Memphis, but they've been calling him Downhill Dez. Last season when he was playing Summer League, he's handling the ball a lot more, and that was one of his things that he wanted to work on this offseason, was continue to show that he's not just a shooter and to have a little downhill in his game. And so I think he worked on that even more this year, so he may even handle the ball a little bit more too.
Hope he worked on that upper body flexibility, because my man's a little stiff up top.
I'm a big fan of his, and I've heard stories behind the scenes about how dedicated he is and how much of a hard worker he is. So it's nice to hear you kind of set the tone and make that clear that these stories are true. And so I think he's primed for a big year.
Yeah, you don't get that buff without working hard, right?
That's right. Short arms, though. He got short arms. That's what they said, right? That's what they said. That's why he went 30. He said he had short arms. I think that was the stupidest thing ever.
That is the stupidest thing ever. As a man who suffers from T-Rex arms, I think that's stupid as shit. So, real quick, strengths and weaknesses. There's kind of a generic question, but like, what is this team's biggest strength, and what do you think is something to really be worried about if you're a Grizzlies fan?
Okay, biggest strength is defense. I think this team's going to be really good defensively. Adding Marcus Smart. Okay, so here's the thing. I was the biggest Dylan Brooks fan because I was friends with Dylan when we were teenagers all the way up. I think the only person that makes this team better than when they had Dylan was Marcus Smart. I never thought it was a possibility, but having Marcus Smart guarding the outside, having Jaren guarding the rim, and then having a big body of Steven Adams who's going to grab all the boards, I think defensively this team is going to be really, really good. I also think on the offensive end, when, let's say when Ja comes back, having two of the best shooters in the league, statistically wise, opening up the lane, like Ja is going to be dangerous as well. Those two shooters in Luke Kennard and Desmond Bane are going to be really difficult as well. I think something that Grizzly fans should be worried about. I mean, the first 25 games won't be easy. Not having your franchise player is not going to be easy. I think Grizzlies fans are still a little worried about Jaren's fouling. It was a big topic of concern last year, just having him stay on the court. And you saw that a little bit even in the FIBA game. Obviously, you have less fouls there, I guess, but it's a shorter game as well. But no, he fouled out of games there too. So I think you want to see that. I think you want to see him rebound a little bit more. Although Steven Adams kind of put that to rest at media day too. He's like, if Jaren's swatting every ball, he can't do everything. So I'm there to rebound. And then, yeah, I think getting Ja back, I think getting through the 25 games unscathed. And I think a lot of the worry is going to rely on Jaren. Although Jaren was an all-star this year, you want to see him as one of the franchise guys take another leap forward and stay on the court.
All right, Kelcey. So if the Suns and the Grizz met in the playoffs, what would that series look like, from your opinion?
Oh my God. You guys are going to have such an exciting year. It's going to be exciting, like no matter what. Obviously, I'm never, ever, ever going to back down and say that the Suns are going to win. But I think it would be a nice 7-game series. It's just for two teams that are so talented, and obviously the Suns are so stacked this year, they play, or they should, like looking at the personnel, such a different style of basketball. Don't you guys think? Like the Grizzlies are going to be very much 3-and-D this year because they have 3-point shooters and they have good defenders. You guys are crazily offensive talented. Like I think it'd be a good series. I think it would be low scoring, weirdly enough.
I agree.
I could see that.
I agree. I think it will be low scoring.
What?
So I agree. No, I agree.
Both teams are putting
Playoffs
so
in
much
mud.
emphasis on defense and being
yeah.
their identity, even though we know the Suns obviously offensively.
No, I agree.
We literally
I
got
agree.
3 of the best scorers in
I
the
get
league.
that.
What are you talking about?
I still think in the
But that's-
playoffs, you slow everything down. You play in mud. I mean, look at the Suns this year. I mean, we had offense this year, and we had some Denver games that were in the 80s in the fourth quarter. So when the playoffs slow down, they start
I was
working it
so
up.
mad.
No,
I just disagree so much.
I agree. But
I just could
Kelcey,
see it happening.
here's my thing. You kind of taking the easy way out here. You said 7. You said 7-game series. But who's winning?
Oh, you can't make her
Nah,
answer
I'm messing with
that.
you.
No,
No,
she
you
said
can make me
Grizz.
say it.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did
I
say
said the
Grizz?
Yeah.
Honestly, I want to say Grizz in 4, but I just don't want to.
Oh, I respect it. That's an OG move. I respect it.
Listen, I mean, when do we ever count out our Suns? When do we ever bet against them?
Oh no, we're going undefeated this year.
Exactly.
Like, we're going through the
Maybe
whole
you
league
know.
undefeated. I mean,
Yes.
is that even a question?
Come on.
Kelcey, before you take off, is the jumper still wet?
Okay, so you want to know the honest truth? When I'm like, hear me
That
out. You guys
means no,
have 10 minutes?
people.
When I go to the arcade, because I don't really shoot on real hoops anymore. When I go to the arcade and I'm shooting like the
Pop
little
a shot?
game, oh my God, wet. But then I shot a shot at practice yesterday, just like everyone was gone and the ball came to me. I was like, my nails are too long.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to say yes, but it's unconfirmed right now.
All right.
If you make it out here, I want to do the Papa shot with you.
Yeah, that would be
done.
wild.
If you make it out here, I want to challenge you because you sound like you got a wet jumper there. So
Yeah, done.
okay,
Period.
Papa shot is such a blast. I
Papa
love
shot.
that.
Let's do it.
Kelcey, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time, and we wish you and the Grizz the best of luck as long as it's not against the Suns this season.
I was about to say until that playoff series.
Exactly. We'll see you next time.